Glad to have you with us today in a monumental game and a game with incredible playoff implications for your Washington Commanders. Chad Ricardo has been getting the pulse of the people out there. He is live at Northwest Stadium right now with what a game you saw in person there, Chad.
Man, Jim, today was a extremely special game, a special game for all of these fans here at Northwest who have been waiting for moments like these for decades. And Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders just delivered today, snapping the 10-game win streak by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you and I will have an opportunity to speak more about that coming up, but head coach Dan Quinn is at the podium now. Let's take a listen to him.
And to show that you're down for the fight, to go 5 quarters. I talked about that early in the week. If this one goes 5 full quarters, that's the mindset I want us to have. And knowing that it would be a tough game all the way through, and give them credit. This is a tough group, but that's what I said. But not anything deeper than that today. I was hoping for that, but today was an example of resilience and connection as a team, knowing that mistakes did take place, and we kept in this. Kept ourselves in the game.
Saw at the end of the game that Bobby Wagner had waited for Terry after he finished his on-field interviews, and then after that they just took a moment to embrace. So for when you choose your game day captains, right, so it's Terry, Bobby, and Jeremy Reeves this week,
yes. Did
you have in mind this game and
yes.
this moment?
I was thinking I'd follow those 3 anywhere. I honestly would. And so that's why I thought if we're trying to, become more than a contender and, become somebody that can fight in bigger ones, you would need people like that on the leading example. And I love, what they stand for and who they are. Like, honestly, these are some of the best teammates you could have. And so we're fortunate that we have them. And, it was an easy decision to say, hey, man, you go lead the way.
You mentioned the team staying composed in fiery moments. Was that something that you had talked about coming into this game, knowing that it was a division rival?
We did actually 2 weeks ago, because I brought it up after the bye. I thought there were some times when we're riding high, it's like a damn tidal wave coming down, like where it's a downpour of aggression. And when we're low, I felt sometimes the energy can be that. And I wanted us to make sure to keep our motion, but also know, man, this is living in the NFL. And so it isn't going to go good. There's going to be tough deals and bad, moments, and you stay in the fight and going. So for the players, that was something I wanted to discuss with them 2 weeks ago. And so it happened again last week, where I was proud of them because there was a touchdown, scored, and there was still a 2-point play to go. And so you have to lock back for the next play and the next moment, and that in an instance took place today. A turnover happened, and we've all seen in sports these momentum shifts. It's a real thing. And so I wanted us not to be emotionless, but to know there's going to be bad deals, tough calls, things that go against you, and you got to stay in it. In the same way, when it goes excellent. And so after the score, we got a chance to go get a 2-point, which is an important one when you go up 1 at the end of the game, and you got to be able to go deliver there. So I wanted us on the exceptional highs and the hard lows to level that out a bit.
Dan, you're not in the playoff field yet, but that's a possibility. Given what you're talking about that you've built and that attitude that they have, do you think this group believes it could beat any team, anywhere, doesn't matter? They have a chance?
We're getting closer to that. We need more, honestly, to do that. And today was a step in the right direction, but, they weren't at full strength either. And so, I'm not going to dismiss that. That's important to know. But we're gaining on it. But we need these, moments. I would say this is a tough team. They're hardened. They've been in some fights as a, group that's developing and growing. And it helps a lot to talk about, the captains that were for this game with Reeves and Wagner and McLaurin. These are real competitors, and what they stand for goes on to the other guys as well.
Dan, what is it about Terry McLaurin that he's allowed to kind of be as consistent as he's been, no matter who his quarterback is?
He's got a knack on a deep ball of tracking it that not everybody has, because to get some of the plays that he has to get behind people. Obviously, you have to have speed, but tracking a deep ball is one of the most difficult things because oftentimes it could be on this shoulder or opposite. And so his ability to get on top, to stay consistent in that way to go. That's why not connecting on a few last week, we were like, damn, these were some plays that we thought would have changed the game. But he's a hell of a competitor, man. And so he has that going for him. But his ability to track the deep ball and the connection already, with Jaden has been a big one. I was as happy as I was for Terry, and I believe he tied a franchise record today. It's also worth noting for OZ and Jamison, like being on the IR for as long as Jamison had, it takes a lot of grit to stay in it. He might have been out of football technically for 2 to 3 months, and this is not an easy thing to do. So for him to come back and make the impact he's had, that's a man I respect a lot.
Dan, sir, I was a little late, so if you answered this before, I apologize. How did you adjust the run fits to kind of get Saquon under control a little bit?
The big one early, oh boy, that was hard because, we thought we had a good, defense played, but Joe and the guys all week had made a big impact, and I did too, to say in the second half he's been incredible. So almost 7 yards a carry for the season. Like that is just unheard of. So maybe I made too big a deal about the second half. I missed it on the starting fast. A lot of respect for him, Dave, because of his ability, honestly, to run through and to break some tackles. This is a big offensive line, but I thought in the second half, defensively, the guys really buckled down. We knew both sides, third and fourth downs was going to be the name of this game. Both teams were good at fourth down. When we got stopped early on, it was like fill in the blank. But that wasn't going to back us off of taking shots and being aggressive. So it was a hard day, but I do love the way that the guys fought back.
After a while, he keeps doing this. You can't keep saying, wow, Jaden keeps doing this at the ends of games.
Yep.
What is his superpower in terms of remaining calm and executing in those moments?
What a day, what a game, as we hear there from head coach Dan Quinn, now the leader of a team that is 10-5 and notching again what is arguably the most important regular season victory that this team has had in years, if not in decades. Coming up, we're going to speak to Commanders superfan, my main man Tailgate Ted, as he will tell us more about what today's victory means to the people here of the DMV. We'll be right back. here at Northwest Stadium, where the Washington Commanders just knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 36-33, snapping the Philadelphia Eagles' 10-game winning streak, and even more importantly, notching the third consecutive victory for the Washington Commanders. And this was a day that was truly historic, being here on the field. To the fans here of the Washington Commanders, joining me now, none other than the ultimate fan, team ambassador, and what more can we say but your name itself, Tailgate Ted. Ted, I'm here, I'm with the people, and I could feel the emotion that this win meant to you all.
Chad, we've got 10 wins this season.
Man.
We won 4 last year. I mean, a rookie quarterback, a new head coach, 2/3 of a new roster. No one saw this coming.
Yeah.
And to win this game with 5 turnovers today?
Yes.
Jaden Daniels just did that on the field?
Sure.
It's unbelievable right now.
And that's where it was that I wanted to go, because, again, when you look at this franchise for the last 25 years, this was, to be honest, a bad team. Yeah. And bad teams don't commit 5 turnovers and still win a game, nonetheless, against a team that has won 10 games in the league and arguably the best in the NFL. How did this team get this done today?
You just said it. They're a team. Ooh. Dan Quinn has gotten these guys ready this entire season for this challenge today. Right? Even when Marshawn Lattimore goes out, the defense still steps up. Even when B-Rob has 2 fumbles in the beginning of the game, they still step up. They had each other's back. They never gave up. Backs against the wall against arguably the best team in the NFL. And they still pulled out a win. And everyone said this Commanders team has not beaten a playoff team all year long.
Sure.
Guess what?
Yeah.
We just beat the #1 ranked team by the NFL Power Rankings this past week, 36-33 today.
Ted, I was speaking with fans post-game, and we'll have an opportunity to see and hear some of that sound from them coming up in a moment now. But I was talking to a young man, and as he expressed his jubilation for winning this game, then he came back to me, and he hugged me, and he was crying. He is crying because of how much this victory meant to him and how much this victory meant to this community. For you, what does this win mean to this franchise?
My little brother just got season tickets this year.
Wow.
And to be able to watch this game with him down there, knowing all that this fan base has been through, all the years of just the ridicule and just the pain. I remember a Kansas City Chief game when literally I was one of the only people left in these stands.
That's right.
And we were just getting blown out. And tonight, no one left, even though we were down, backs against the wall. And to share that win with my family and my burgundy and gold brothers and sisters, it was priceless.
It meant so much. We could feel how much it meant to everyone here. I give you about 30 seconds more, Ted. Got 2 games remaining. A big game coming up next weekend with Atlanta, and then a trip down to Dallas. What do you anticipate from this team the rest of the regular season?
This was a statement game. This was the one game that we needed to ride into the playoffs. Atlanta? Better watch out. I'm sorry, Malik Willis, doesn't matter to me. This team is riding high. We've got momentum. Then we're going to Dallas, and maybe round 3 in Philly.
That's right.
If it happens, I'll see you up there.
We will see you up there, Tailgate Ted. Thank you very much. And now, let's listen to what some of the other Washington Commanders fans had to say about this victory.
I waited my whole life for this. It's been 26 years of watching them, and they're just struggling. To finally get the momentum and the players and, you know, the togetherness, it's great to watch.
Another Hail Mary, yes, let's go.
It was very personal. I said we had to do it, and we did it. Nobody thought we could do it, but we did it, man.
Those Commanders, like I always tell you guys, we got it out, man. We stayed the course, and everybody doubted us. But like you said, Jay and Ricardo, we're here. We ain't going nowhere. Hell to the Commanders. Peace and love. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Commanders.
So much passion, so much energy, so much excitement from Washington Commanders fans. Keep it locked right here. Coming up, Jim Loke will be back, and we'll talk about what's next with the Washington Commanders. Welcome back to our Commanders post-game show, live here from Northwest Stadium, where the Washington Commanders just snapped the Philadelphia Eagles' 10-game win streak by a final score of 36-33. Joining me again now, the captain of our ship here today, Jim Loke from in studio. Jim, just an amazing day here. I wish you could have been here with us to enjoy this with these fans here in the DMV.
I enjoyed being in warmer environs during the game, Chad. But hey, look, one thing we got to point out here, because as we're looking ahead to the postseason, right now Washington has that 7th and final playoff spot. What happens next week in Atlanta is going to determine a lot. Dan Quinn, by the way, rematch against his former team next week, but he talked a lot about the mistakes the team made. Turnover. You don't see teams win making those kind of mistakes. The Commanders were the exception to the rule today. Are you surprised, though, how effective they were after that first quarter and how they were able to shut Saquon Barkley down?
I tell you what, Jim, we were doing our pregame show out in the parking lot of Northwest Stadium. So by the time that we were able to wrap that pregame show and make it into Northwest Stadium, the score was already 14-0. The Philadelphia Eagles came out here. They turned the Washington Commanders over, and they turned those into points. And so I think that in years past, and with most teams, there was an opportunity to fold here and go home and wrap some Christmas gifts and get ready for next week. But Dan Quinn has built a team. He has built a team that leads on one another, and more than anything else, in JD5, they trust, and the people here at Northwest Stadium trust as well. And he led this team back almost single-handedly.
Keep those numbers back on the screen for a second, because I just want to point out to people, keep in mind, this is a Philadelphia Eagles team that didn't have Jalen Hurts.
That's right.
Kenny Pickett was in there for the most part. And as we looked at those rushing numbers as well, 150 yards for Saquon Barkley in total, and then only 113 for the Commanders as a whole. So does that mean, does that signal that they may want to address the running game a little bit, or was Saquon Barkley just that dominant?
Saquon was absolutely that dominant, and what we should speak to, though, is that he had over 100 of those yards in the first half. So truly in the second half, this is a team that did better about with their run fits, as we heard Dan Quinn talk about, in stopping Saquon Barkley. And that was a true emphasis that he talked about all week long, is that Saquon Barkley is going to get his, but you got to be prepared to defend him in the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, and that's what the Commanders did today.
All right, so as we mentioned, next week we have Atlanta. That will be a Sunday night game. We'll learn a lot more about the playoff picture. But right now, Chad, as things shape up, if everything were to hold, we're going to see this Eagles team again in the postseason, because you have a 7 seed against a presumptive number 2 seed.
That is what we are looking at right now, and that will be a tough matchup. It'll be back at Lincoln Financial Field again, if that is where it is that this takes place. But I believe that having the faith of winning this game, we were in that game until the fourth quarter on that Thursday night, Jim, but winning this game down the clutch lets this team know that they can beat anybody in the NFL, and that, if we had that matchup, is what it is that we will take with us.
All right, and we will be back.
And Jim, thank you.
Yeah, you got it, Chad.
Thank you so very much, brother. We will be back with the conclusion of our post-game show coming up in moments. Welcome back to our Fox 5 Commanders post-game show. And when is a single victory bigger than just one win? It is bigger than that when you are a franchise that has been struggling for some 20 to 25 years. It's bigger than just one win when you are a fan base that has been hoping for a team to return to glory for some 20 to 25 years. It's bigger than one win when you're taking on who is arguably the best team in the NFL. You fall behind, but you don't give up on yourself. You get back up, and you give the people who have been rooting for you for years everything that they came to see. On today's matchup, Jaden Daniels threw for 5 touchdown passes. He connected with 2 to Jamison Crowder, connected to 2 with Olamide Zaccheaus. He was able to galvanize this team and lead this team to victory. And it was so much more than just one game. It gave hope to a franchise. He has given hope to a fan base who believe in Jaden Daniels and JD5. The Washington Commanders knock off the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 36-33, advance to a record of 10-5, and put a tighter grip on that 7th seed in the playoffs. We'll be back next week for a matchup with the Atlanta Falcons, and that is going to do it from our Fox 5 postgame show. Jim Loke, bring you back in, brother.
All right, Chad, thank you much. And again, you can stick around. We'll have more news for you coming up here on Fox 5. First, stick around, a double run of Animal Control. And, of course, you can keep tabs on everything you need to know with the Fox Local app for your smart TV or smartphone. Merry Christmas.